I am still lit up from our fashion event a little while ago and just feel very connected to this department, and am really thrilled about all the creative work that's going to happen in the future. So nothing else to say other than I'm happy to be here, really excited to hear what Jennifer has to say. And that's it. Thanks for being here and excited about the future of the program. Thanks, Jen.
I didn't say who I was, and I was going to say that I'm the Director of Continuing Education, and this was Lucinda. I don't think you said who you were either.
Oh, I didn't. I wasn't sure what I missed. I'm Associate Provost and Dean of Graduate, Professional, and Continuing Education. So I get to work with all these special people. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're here today. So we have the chair of the fashion department, and also Jen Bergkamp, and she's also the director of the certificate program. So we're really happy, really fortunate to have that situation. And we also have here Joe Doucette, who's going to talk about the application process, and Brenna, who is working with marketing and helping us to run this meeting. So thank you all again. And Jen, do you want to start?
Can you hear me, everyone? Yes, I will start. I'm going to share my screen because I've just got a presentation that. Can everybody see this screen? Okay, great. So I'm going to talk about, just give you an overview of the Fashion Design Certificate Program. Also joining tonight, we have a current student, Prachi Mahukar, and an alum from the program, Edna Cherry, who at the end can each say a few words just about their current experience from the program and as an alum. And then we'll open it up for questions from anyone who has any. So so if you can hold your questions just through the end of the presentation, there's about 18 slides. You can also drop them in the chat even as they come up, and then we can kind of address them at the end. That would be great. So this is the Fashion Design Certificate Program. Actually, the garment on this picture is actually Edna, who's here tonight. This was her non-textile in one of the classes in creative fashion that as a required course in the program, you actually have to create a garment out of a non-textile material. So a little history of MassArt. I don't know how many of you are familiar with MassArt as a university, but it is really the only independent college of art and design, freestanding in the United States. And you can see the numbers for our current undergraduate students, our graduate students, and continuing education students. So MassArt is a small, intimate school, which is really nice because you do get a lot of, I think, have the opportunity to get to know the faculty well. As the chair of the fashion design department, I teach in both of our undergrad program and our certificate program, and we really try to align both programs together. So you'll often get connected with undergraduate students in some of your classes in the evening because they will take some of the electives. We often have opportunities that we send out to both of our certificate students and our undergraduate students. So there's a lot of opportunity to get to know the undergrads and share the space with them as well at MassArt. So MassArt, the fashion program, is actually one of the oldest in the nation. It was established in 1907. And actually our continuing education classes are almost, not quite as old as that, but almost as old actually. The certificate program is something we've developed over 15 years ago, but continuing ed courses have been going on a long time at MassArt. We are part of the Council of Fashion Designers of America as a university. And I'll talk later about sort of where alumni are placed and doing different things. But I will say the certificate program in general is a really, I think, having someone I've been teaching in it since we started the program, it brings together a really interesting mix of individuals. I feel like the students that come into the program are what really make the program so rich. So there's a lot of diversity in the students themselves, and there's a real community that gets developed. So the course itself, the program is set up to have 10 courses. That includes basically 7 required courses and 3 elective courses of your choice. The shortest amount of time it can be completed is in 2 years and 1 summer. And you do it taking part-time as evening classes. So the program is set up with all evening courses, and it's set up in mind for most, I would say probably 90% of our students are working during the day. So taking classes in the evening is what works for their schedules. Although there is an opportunity in the certificate program, if you wanted to take an undergrad class, which are day classes, that can happen as well. And completing the course in 2 years and 1 summer means that you'd be taking 2 classes each semester and then 1 or 2 classes for 1 summer. And this just kind of outlines the required courses and our current elective choices. So the required courses that you have to take is an illustration, fashion illustration course, global heritage, fashion and art, which is a fashion history course, pattern drafting, intro to creative fashion, which is the course where you do the non-textile, a tailoring, which is an advanced pattern drafting class, and couture design, which is an advanced kind of creative fashion class. And then your last semester, you do a 2-credit course of a professional portfolio. And then you have choices of 3 electives, and you can see that range on the right-hand side of the screen. From digital tools for fashion design and digital tools for textile design, sustainable fashion, costume design, millinery, handbag design. A new course we're offering is Introduction to Clothes 3D Apparel Design, Entrepreneurship for Creative Business. Oh, my screen is. And Textile Study and Design. So these are core kind of electives we have, and they kind of vary when they're offered throughout the year. Some are in the fall or spring or the summer. I do think that this is a really important piece of the program, is the community and the creative community that is built and that develops within the program. So all of the faculty who do teach in the certificate program, many of us also teach in our undergrad program. So there's a really nice link again between our undergrad and our certificate program. All of us teaching in the program have a real range of different expertises and experiences, and we really try to share that with students. You try to be as open as we can, to what your interests are in helping guide students to get the most out of the program. I think what's also unique about the program is that many of the students coming into the program really have different directions in mind of where they want to go. And it's different than an undergrad program. Obviously, it's not as intensive because you're not getting a bachelor's degree. But what's really nice is that you can really tailor it towards your interests. And I'll be your advisor in the program. We really try, as an advisor and also as the faculty, we really try to support your goals and what you want to take away from the program. So you can really try to tailor it to your desires and your goals. And this is just sort of the core curriculum, some images from pattern drafting, creative fashion, and illustration. This is the tailoring, which again, some of the courses are sequential. So you have to take pattern drafting before you take tailoring. You have to take creative fashion before you take couture design. And then the portfolio again is like that, your final spring semester, you take that. Just some images in sustainable fashion. We've been running a collaborative project with Eileen Fisher for many years, where we work with the company itself and we do a presentation in their store. Costume design, we're finally able to bring this course back because it's such a hands-on course during COVID. We weren't able to offer it. All of our classes now are, will be full in person, aside from the Global Heritage Fashion and Art, which is a choice to keep that class actually as a remote course, but everything else, all the studio classes are now fully back in person. Handbag design on the left is a specialty course that's actually offered in the summer. Millinery design, hat making is usually a spring class. These are elective classes. The entrepreneurship, we have a kind of a new budding creative business program that's developing at MassArt, which is wonderful under Sarah Hartman. And entrepreneurship is one class that she tries to place in the evening. It started as a continuing ed course, and now it's kind of folded into the undergrad, but she usually tries to still offer that as an evening course to open that up to our certificate students as well. Digital tools for fashion is using Photoshop and Illustrator. You can see a good example of that to learn how to illustrate digitally, how to create technical flats, which is used a lot in product development. It's a great tool if you're really interested in moving into sort of the industry and like working for potentially a larger company. Digital tools for textile design is using the same two programs, but now you're using it to create and develop your own digital prints, which you can get printed onto multiple types of fabric now. There's a few different resources out there now, companies that do printing. Contrado and Spoonflower are two that we use a lot, and the range of fabrics now is pretty amazing. So not only can you design your own clothes, but you can design your own textile prints, have them printed, and purchase them. We've had many alumni actually move in, like didn't even think of textile design as an option, and took this class and really moved in that direction after completing the certificate. Travel courses are another opportunity that we open up to our certificate students too. You have to be enrolled in the certificate program, but these are undergrad courses. I've been running a lot of them over the years that are fashion directed, but going to different places. And obviously during COVID, we were stopped. So we haven't traveled for since 2019. So we're coming back, we're 2020 actually, but right before COVID. So we're finally coming back, keeping our fingers crossed that everything will run smoothly for this year. But this is one from a Paris to Antwerp course that I run that will be running again this fall with travel during the winter intersession. This is a course to Laos that I had run with a social enterprise where we, and actually the woman on the far left there, her name's Priya. She was actually in the certificate program. So I would say almost always we have a certificate student or two who apply and come on the program, which makes it that much richer of an experience for everyone. One that Renee, my colleague who teaches creative fashion and pattern drafting, has also run to Ghana. And then the one on the right was the course I run on sustainable handcrafts to India. So those kind of alternate throughout the years, but when they come up, you also do have the opportunity to apply for them if you're interested, and they can count for one of your elective choices. And this is just gives you a little bit of a sense of some of our alumni and where they're currently working. And really, like I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, is that I think students, coming into the program really have really diverse interests. And sometimes people know exactly what they're trying to get out of the program. And other times they just, you think you're going in one direction, then you find out, oh, I have had a number of students who have didn't even think about costume design. They took the class, and then all of a sudden, by the end of it, they're like, oh, I'm really interested in maybe pursuing working for a theater. So there's, lots of ways to explore and hone in on specific areas of interest, but then to explore maybe areas that you haven't thought of before. And so you can see from this that we have, alumni who are kind of working in ready to wear. Most of these are larger companies, but there are some who are also working in smaller brands. Bridal, we have an alumni who's actually one of the lead designers for Essence of Australia in bridal design. Costume design, startup. So Edna, who's here as an alum, She has her own startup of a business. And then here are a number of other designers, alumni, and Zainab Sumu and Queen Adeline are all also in this area, the Boston area. Oops. This is an image of Zainab. Actually, she was a certificate graduate from 2014. She's still in the Boston area. And now I'm going to turn this over to Jackie, and she can talk a little bit more about sort of the program costs and financial aid.
Hi again. So we can see here the breakdown of what you'd want to think about if you're thinking about coming. For the whole program, it will cost around $17,000, and that's for the whole thing, all 10 classes, but not materials. Materials depends on how much you choose to spend. That's more variable, because you can have, you can use all sorts of things. So we can't add that part. But for tuition and so on, as of right now, this is what the whole thing would be. Financial aid is available for eligible people. You'd have to find out by completing the FAFSA, and you'd need to take 6 credits per semester, which would be 2 classes essentially, except until the very end. So most classes are 3 credits until the end. The last one is 2. Sometimes your employer might reimburse tuition, so that's something you might look into if you have a job, and you can find out. Some employers, or if you're looking for a job, you can find one with an employer who does tuition and reimbursement, and we accept those payments. So that's another avenue that you could explore. So the thing is that it's not for everybody. You have to first know that it's something you really want to go for. So it's worth it we encourage people to try a course or 2, at least 2 courses, before you commit to the program, because it gives you a good idea of what you're in for. What you're, you have a good feeling for what is to come, and you get all excited, and then you join. But you don't have to. You can also, what you're after, and you can just start right away. There's no reason to wait as well. So I think the next slide is about the application, and I give that to Joe Doucette to talk a bit about.
Sure. Hey, everyone. So just to expand on one thing, Jackie was on the previous slide. You don't have to go back, because I get this question a lot doing as the person who does the applications. That tuition of $17,000, it's not something you pay all at once. I have a lot of people say, is that a big lump sum? Do I have to pay that? No, you pay that by semester, depending on how many classes you take. So we generally recommend that you take 2 classes per semester. So right now, 2 classes per semester works out to be about $3,600 for the whole semester, not including materials. So just wanted to address that, because I get that a lot. People think that like a lot of colleges where you pay the full semester tuition and it's half of the year. The certificate program isn't like that. It depends on what you take. So generally, as I said, students take 1 to 2 classes per semester, and that's what we generally recommend too. Okay, so for the application, the timeline, I'm going to skip over to materials first. So what's on the application? There's a few things. First of all, the statement of purpose, as you see here. Statement of purpose, kind of just like it sounds. It's a page, maybe a page and a half, just telling us a little bit about yourself and why you want to be in the program, what you want to do with the education you've received in the program. Resume, also pretty straightforward, nothing fancy, just a job resume, just what you've been doing since whenever, just like you're applying for a job. 1 to 2 letters of recommendation would be great to have if you can get them. They're not required. That's just an add-on. So if you have them, we'd love to see them. If you can't get them, that's okay. They're not required. High school transcript is part of the application. The application's minimum for applying is having graduated from high school. So if you have a high school transcript, that's great. If you have a college transcript, that's great too. A lot of people who are in the program have graduated high school 25 years ago. So it's tough to get their high school transcripts, but many of them have college transcripts, which are a little easier to acquire. So if you can get one or the other or both, it's great. We just need proof that you have graduated from high school. And finally, the collage is a collage of images related to fashion, things in fashion that's interesting to you, that excites you, that inspires you, that makes you want to be a fashion designer. And what that is just, it can be a digital collage, it can be traditional cut and paste collage. But however you do it, we just want a picture of that collage uploaded to the application in a JPEG. So the timeline, right now we've expanded the application for this fall. So the July 1 is the application deadline if you want it to start in September. So obviously that's coming up. If you're interested in applying, I would recommend do it for fall. I would recommend doing it quickly because that July 1st deadline is coming up fast. And some of the materials that are out of your control, such as the high school transcript, might take a little time to get to you. If you can't get them by July 1st, what to do is do the rest of it, submit it, and let me know. And if you can't get your transcripts or if they're on the way, get them to me as soon as possible. And what we can do is, get your application looked at and pending your high school transcripts, have a decision for you. Also, what I've done in the past for students who are really in a pinch is if you have a diploma, take a picture of that just to give us some proof that yes, I've graduated high school and the application and the transcripts are on the way. Then we could review it with that sort of information. So since we're in a time pinch for July 1st, just a couple of options for you. But if you're interested in applying for the next cycle, which would be for January of 2023, that application begins on September 1st and ends on November 1st. So you'd have a lot more time to get things together and get the application in to our site and into me by those deadlines. So the application is done through the website. If you go to our website, you can see the links for the applications. It's under the fashion certificate. It's there on the bottom in a little green button. And there's a whole bunch of other info there too about course sequences and what it costs and financial aid and things like that. And a fairly lengthy FAQ. But if you have questions, you can always give me an email, joe.doucette@massart.edu. It's right there. And that's about it. Jackie or Jen, whoever's taking it from here.
Yeah, I think we've just got one more slide here, which just goes to experiences of our, like I said, I'll have Prachi and Edna just speak in just a moment. And then after that, we'll open it up for questions. So I think I can stop sharing my screen. And yeah, and maybe we can start with Prachi. Prachi's a current student. She is just completed the end of her first year. So it'll be a good kind of perspective, having a little bit, having the first year under her belt. She can tell you a little bit about her experience so far. And then afterwards, we'll pass it on to Edna.
Namaskaram, everyone. My name is Prachi. I had a dream to be a fashion designer and hadn't done much work in 25 years. So went back to school, found out about MassArt's wonderful program. And I have done my fall term, spring term, and my summer term will start soon. And I have had a completely positive and very supportive experience from everyone. Was I nervous? Was I anxious? Yes. For just being back to school and first time in school in USA and being older, being from India, but I have just experienced total support. Jennifer had a chat with me before the fall term started because she had written an email and I was like, yes, I do need to talk with you. What am I getting into? she was very supportive. I struggled in spring term in one of my elective and I was kind of ready to give up. But then the TA from my fall term subject, I kind of, she guessed what I was struggling with. And she's like, no, don't do that. Just ask the teacher. And I asked and I got so many one-on-one sessions and that really helped me. But I was hesitating, right, to ask for help because, I didn't know how much support I would get. The president from last year, she was giving a speech and I heard that, and that was very positive. So, a wonderful experience. And then lots of opportunities. Boston Fashion Week happens in fall. I learned about that. I could attend that with my fall teacher and the TA. Then Jennifer shared an opportunity for certificate students to join the undergrad students for a travel abroad study course. And so I applied nervously, not sure, if I'll get selected, but tada, I got selected and I'll be studying that in fall. And in January, it's a 2-week travel to Paris and Belgium. Very thrilled, very excited. So lots of opportunities. And when I saw all the electives, I'll tell you, I want to learn all the electives, but the only regret is I don't have enough time. I'm a full-time working person, 2 kids, a dog. But I can manage. The 2 subjects per term is very manageable. I think all of you might be thinking, but you can do it. Do I want to do the handbags? Yes. The millinery? Yes. So many opportunities. So I'm thinking maybe instead of 2 years, I should extend my course and maybe try to do all the electives. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Prachi. And Edna, I'll turn it over to you. Edna's an alum. She graduated in 2021 from the program.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Edna Sherry. I don't know if you can see me. On my screen, I can say I'm a little dark. I don't know. Yes, I'm Edna Sherry. I'm an alumni, as Jen just said. I've been a fashion designer for years, but I don't know, I felt like I needed something more. And this is when I went to MassArt, and I found it what I was looking for. I wanted to explore myself a little more, and I didn't know how. But at MassArt, I find myself, and I was more open to do whatever I wanted to do. So I jumped into the program and I really loved it and was excited about everything that I learned. And the community, it's outstanding. I'm still friends with all my teachers. We talk all the time. And, whatever I need, I know I can get the support. And also I was in the last program that they just introduced, can you help me? My English sometimes skip.
Yeah, the business incubator.
Business incubator. The business incubator, which is a very, very good program. Even though I've been in business, but there again, I've learned so much. So I'm encouraging everybody who's interested, do not hesitate, because at MassArt you will find everything. You find friendship, the support of the teachers, you meet with other fellow students and you learn from each other. This is such a great thing, because I'm very creative. I'm an artist. I have my own way of learning things. But when I'm looking at what somebody else does, and it's like stimulate me. And from there, it's like a step for me to grow. I just build on whatever somebody else do. I looked and then I build. And this is such a great thing. So I'm encouraging everybody, if you do not hesitate, because this is such a great program. I love it. And I'm still trying to find another class to come. I find another reason to come to MassArt. I'm still trying to learn something, because there's so much to learn at MassArt. Believe me, so much to learn. I've learned so much. So I'm still learning. I'm still searching. I'm not telling Jane what class can I take this. So yeah, this is a great school. This is a great place to be, great people, you know, great environment. So welcome to the family.
Thank you, Edna. Yeah, I will say that one thing that I feel what Edna just says, like, welcome to the family. We are a small enough program that we really try to build a community, and even beyond when you leave, you never leave. Like that's what's so nice is that there's a continual connection with alumni and the program. And I mean, that's what the success of the program is that connection. So, yeah, we can open it up to questions, and if anybody has any. I saw a question just about the core courses, and I think Jackie just dropped in the link to that, but I can repeat it again. The core courses are the core courses are the required courses. So that is pattern drafting. There's 6 of them that are the core courses: pattern drafting, introduction to creative fashion, which are kind of the intro level courses, global heritage fashion and art, which is the fashion history course, fashion illustration, which is a summer course. And then the sequential courses are tailoring, which you have to take pattern drafting first, and then couture design, which you start with the creative fashion course first. So those are the 6 core courses. And then the other required course is your final course, which is the portfolio course. Are there other questions from anyone?
You can also speak out. You don't have to type it if
Yeah.
you want to talk.
So Ty, do you want to, I think it's Ty, do you want to just say your question?
Yeah, sure. I was just wondering that, like, if you take this program and then afterwards decide to take MassArt's BFA program, if the credits that you take, like if you received while taking this course or this like program, while doing this program, like if that would transfer over easily.
Yeah, they will. So it's a good question, because we have had students who have started in the program and decided they wanted the full undergraduate program. So I can think of one person in particular, Ernie, who started in the certificate, transferred into our undergrad. All the classes will transfer in. Some will transfer in for required courses, and others will transfer in for elective courses. So it just depends on the course and how far you've kind of gone into the program. But yes, they will all transfer in for some credit. And that's always something you can think about as you start the program too. If you want sort of the full undergrad program, you can always talk about it and learn more about that program as well.
I also had a question.
Sure, go ahead.
I think I spoke with you before, being a communication design student,
Yes.
trying to take the fashion classes.
Yes.
So I did have, my other question was, if I'm doing that, I remember you saying some of the electives I could take under there and then, come back to it for a certificate. As far as applying for the application though, would I still have to show I am already a part of MassArt? So I don't think I'll have to show my transcript or anything if you already have it.
Yeah, like if you're, so I think I had said when we were chatting before, so there was a student pretty recently in the certificate program who was an alum from MassArt. She didn't start it right after the program, although we have had students, I think a couple of them do that. Yeah, actually we did. Another student who came to the program who was right out of MassArt as an undergraduate student. But this particular student I'm thinking of, she had a little bit of a break in between, and then she came back into the certificate. So if you're going to like complete the undergrad program, but then come into it, yeah, we would just you probably do them separately, because I don't think we've ever had anyone try to do them simultaneously, but we could definitely just like move you into it after, or yeah, we'd have to look at it more, but trying to think
Hey,
who we,
Jen, can I just jump in here real quick?
yeah,
I don't think you can't really do them simultaneously because they're two separate programs and they're two separate billing rates. So overlapping them is really, I mean, it would take significant wrangling to make it work simultaneously. Once you've graduated, it's a piece of cake. I mean, it's seamless if you want it to be. But doing it at the same time, I don't think that's ever happened. And it's really just because of the mechanics of how the billing and you're a different student essentially. So a certificate student is different from an undergrad in terms of the rates that they pay for classes and how they're listed in our system. It's kind of like a BFA student and a grad student being taken, it's like being a BFA and a grad student at the same time. So it doesn't work for our system. That said, like I said, once you graduated, it's pretty easy. And I don't know if you took electives while you were an undergrad at MassArt that were part of the certificate with those transfer. That would be Jen's call, I think. But I'm pretty sure people have done that.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. We definitely have done that with some students who have graduated and then come in, and if they've taken some classes as electives that were in the program, we've been able to bring them in. I'm thinking of, who else I was thinking of recently, Joe, do you remember Demetrios? He came from architecture, maybe, I don't know if you remember, I'll have to look back, but he was someone who like graduated and then applied into the program, I think the following year.
I think if you wanted to do that, what you'd have to do is just fill out the bare bones of the application. Let Jen know you're going to do it. Let me know you're going to do it, and submit the application, because it has to go through the system. But we can access your transcripts. I have administrative superpowers. I can just go ahead and pull them and add them to your application if that's what we need to do. It shouldn't be too difficult, especially if you've already spoken to Jen about it and she knows where you're at with it, and she's fairly confident that you would get accepted. And it's an easy thing to do, especially for an undergrad who wants to do it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was basically, I think I was kind of told down the line that I can kind of take some of the courses, like, maybe like 3 of them or so. And then by that time, once I finished with communication design, I would still have some courses that I've actually taken in fashion design that probably could help me out later, as far as continuing. So I was going to ask, like, would I still need to do the application as far as the collage and submit it if I wanted to take, let's say, I think it was a tool class, the digital tool.
So
I think those is one of the ones you said I could probably.
Yeah, like if you just want to take one of the like some of our classes, right, that are, so digital tools, I think we were chatting about that, like digital tools for fashion or for textile design. Those are open classes, even for our undergrads. So you don't have to apply in or anything to take those. If there's space, if it's an evening, if you're an undergrad student, this is in general for all of our undergrad students, we need to run it as a certificate, as a continuing ed class. So it has to run, and have students in it that are continuing ed students. But then if there's open space in it, then you can definitely take that class. So that's as an undergrad student. And if you went into the certificate program, if it was something in it afterwards, that could be something we could transfer over for you for the program. So yeah, there are definitely ways that you can take some classes that are just kind of open classes for sure, that are applicable to you as an undergrad student.
Thank you.
And there's a question here in the chat. Do you see about do we have any visiting scholar programs, so that's as a fashion teacher from another country?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. We don't currently have any, I don't think, like full-time visiting scholars from abroad, but that's something to look into. You're from another country and you're looking to teach in Boston? Is it Yulin? I don't know if I'm pronouncing.
Lynn Liang,
Yeah.
maybe you can just. Okay. I'll just like to, maybe you have, maybe like lectures and so on, and maybe that's what you mean. If we have lectures and so on, that you can just go to public lectures and so.
We do often, I'm not sure if I'm understanding it correctly or not, but if you're asking if we have visiting scholars from other countries, we have definitely had that. Now with Zoom, we've been able to do lots of that, where we actually had a designer from Britain speak with our students recently. So we're often connecting now globally to other designers to do lectures and presentations on Zoom that are open to sort of our certificate students and our undergrad students. That we've been building out a lot. So if that's the question, yes, we are doing that. Yeah, and what Lucinda just said, many visiting scholars from other countries across departments and programs. Yeah, so outside of fashion, for sure, we have lots of visiting scholars from other countries.
So Irina has her hand up. You wanna?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Irina.
Hi, thank you so much for this. It's really helpful. I just had a quick question. I took Intro to Creative Fashion this spring, and I was hoping to take the handbag class over the summer. And I was thinking about the program, but I think I probably won't know whether I could like make it through the program until I take Intro to Pattern Drafting. I'm sort of afraid of that one. Having done like a little bit of it in Intro to Creative Fashion, that was like the hardest part for me. So I was wondering, I know it said like you can only take 2 courses before you apply for this. Like, are there any exceptions? Because that would be my 3rd. But yeah, I don't think I'd want to commit until I like knew that I had survived that one. So, is that possible, or is that like a hard rule?
Generally, we accept 2 classes in, but if someone's already been taking classes, sometimes we can make an exception. So, we could talk more about it. But yeah, I wouldn't be so, I don't know, maybe Prachi or Edna can speak to their experience in pattern drafting. I mean, it can be a little daunting, but it's a pretty, I don't know, I'll let them speak to it.
So yeah, pattern drafting can seem like that, but we got a lot of support. So it was where we could watch Jennifer's videos, there were books, and anytime we had a question or 2 or more, we always got support. Even in my spring term class with Andy, we got a lot of support. So it seems daunting, but it works out. You do learn a lot, and you can do different things. So some of my fellow students did so many other like interesting things without having ever done any sewing. So definitely it's a challenging one, I would say, but you do get it by the end of the, how many weeks, I don't know. Yeah, by the end of the term.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, one person in my creative fashion class said it was the hardest class she'd ever taken. I think she scared everyone.
Oh my gosh, she must have really scared. Geez, I don't think it's that hard. But I think it's well, some people are more technically focused and some people are less, but it doesn't matter. Like part of it is even if you're someone who's not like a technical, like focused, you learn how to use the tools that you have to support you. So, it's a learning process, but it's very manageable, throughout. Maybe a higher learning curve for some people than others, but.
Yeah, and I think practice, just keep doing, because the first time it will seem daunting, but after a lot of, sewing, and that gives a great foundation, because without pattern making, it's very hard to do the garment construction. So I think the more you do, the more comfortable you will feel with it.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I always say that pattern drafting is like geometry. If you can do that, you can do it.
Oh, that's not good.
If in doubt, you always, it's really logical. And you're wearing clothes yourself, so you can always go back to something in your ward, like if you're questioning things, usually your intuition is right because you know more than you think you do, actually, because you've been wearing clothes your whole life. So when it's applying to the body, it seems difficult because you're going flat 2D to 3D, and that transition can be strange, but once you get through it, yeah, it does all come together. So
Okay. Yeah,
I've
no,
never had someone really not pass the class unless they dropped out or something. So
Oh, okay. That's good. Yeah, I'm not a math person. And like the day we had to do the pattern blocking with the
Oh.
the rulers and yeah, that was really hard for me. I think I just don't have that kind of brain.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
You just have to
Maybe
follow.
What'd you say, Edna?
You just have to follow instruction.
Yeah,
You
it's
don't
true.
have to think. You just follow instruction. Whatever they do, you do, and that's it.
And then there's the draping one too. So you can learn to drape and create your own patterns in different way.
oh yes, I liked the draping. Yeah, I was much better at the draping. Yes.
Yeah, and I think Jackie just answered Kala's question. If you just want to take a class, yeah, you don't need to submit a portfolio. Basically, what you've done, Irina, you just took the class and now you're interested in possibly going into the program. So yeah, that's what I mean. It's the continuing ed program is open to everyone. Just the higher level courses, the tailoring and the couture design, those have prerequisites, but anything else that we offer, and the portfolio class, that's really just a certificate class. Anything else that we offer is open to everyone. So anyone in this call can take a class in any of those other courses that we offer, and any of the electives or any of the pattern drafting, the intro to creative fashion, the fashion illustration, or the global heritage fashion and art. Those are all part of our core classes anyway. So they're good classes to test out. I would say especially pattern drafting and the creative fashion are the best ones to test out to really kind of get a sense if you want to do the program or not. And Jackie just put in the summer classes there.
I just want to say that, sorry, I just want to reiterate that if you want to try it out, it's 2 classes, that's what we accept normally. So, don't go halfway and say, maybe I want to go further. You need to join us a little bit before that. Thanks, Joe. So he's saying that fall classes will be available soon. So a lot of the summer classes have already started. There's, I think, maybe only the second section of fashion illustration maybe left. So, but fall classes will be out soon, and you can just check our catalog in early July for the fall classes.
Yeah, handbag design you can still register for too. That starts in the middle of July. Any other questions, either general or specific? I'm going to drop my, yeah, I think well, I don't know. That's a good question. Is there a place that lists faculty? There is like a faculty list under the fashion department, but that's not only certificate faculty, right? Although I will say a lot of us who teach again in the undergrad are teaching in the evening, but there are some evening faculty who wouldn't probably be there. I'm not sure.
I think a lot of the faculty for the fashion classes that are listed on the CE website. If you go to look like you're going to try to register, there's info on each class, and each class has a link to info about the instructor for that class. Or if it doesn't have a link, it gives you a background about each instructor. And a lot of them do overlap, as Jen said. So they would also probably be on the MassArt fashion department links too, under the faculty link on the MassArt website.
And I just dropped my email in the chat as well. So if anybody after this session has any further questions about curriculum or anything in that arena, you can address them to me. And definitely feel free to reach out at any point if you want to know about a particular class, or you're just questioning again sort of the sequence or anything. Feel free to reach out.
Irina, feel free to unmute if you have another question.
Oh, sure. Thanks. Yeah, I just I had one question about I know you said the 2 classes per semester is recommended, but it sounded like maybe it's okay to like do it slower if you have to.
Oh, it's definitely, that's a great question. Actually, I was just having a conversation with someone today just about that same thing. There is no time limit to that. So the 2 years in 1 summer is really based so that, you know, as someone applying into the program, the quickest you can complete the program. You can't really shave it down any more than that. But in terms of extending that, I have many times, if someone's got a really hectic, I've had a number of students who have changed jobs when they've been in the program, and their work schedule gets really stressful and it's very hard to sort of take on 2 classes. You can certainly just take 1 class a semester. And you can, you know, most of the time, if you do that, I usually suggest trying to take the required courses because they're sequential. And because if you skip one and then like it throws you back, it adds on a whole nother year potentially. So you definitely can take a minimum of 1 class, or you can take a, you know, you can take a semester off if you need to. During COVID, we had, you know, students take this year off actually, because they just because we were remote or hybrid, and that was tough. So yeah, it's really can be at your pace. We have students who, I have students who want to stretch the program out. So they want to take additional electives. So they kind of are strategically making it longer so they can, I mean, you have to take a minimum of 3 electives, but you can take more than that if you want, of course. But, you know, if the more courses, then the tuition goes up, obviously. But there are definitely students who want to just continue to take classes under the program. So, you know, it's at your pace and we'll work with you however it works best for you.
I think we're coming close to the end now. So if anybody has a question, now's the time.
I guess I had one more question, which I'm sure the answer is no. But I was just wondering if like the time would ever like start earlier and end earlier. Like I'm sure there's like a whole reason for the time being what it is. It's just like sometimes I get tired when it was like 10 and we'd still be sewing.
I know.
Like,
Usually, I hear you. Usually we can't start earlier for 2 reasons. One is that we have undergrad classes that basically butt up right against a lot of the evening classes. Maybe there's a half-hour window. And then the other thing is, we've found over the years that in order for most students to get out of work and be able to make it to MassArt, depending on where they're coming from, or if they live outside of the city, which most of our continuing ed students do, it's so hard to get there before 6:30 to really make sure. So probably not, unfortunately, but there may be an opportunity for you to take an undergrad class too, a day course, if it could work with your schedule. So
that'd be cool. Thanks.
Well, I think we might want to wrap things up if no one has any more questions. And we put our emails there. You can write to Jen. You can write to CE@MassArt. In fact, you can put my email there. And you can write to us at any time and ask questions. So this is just an introduction. So you get to see what we're all about. You see our faces and you know who you're writing to. So we're happy to answer questions and we look forward to hearing from you. That
I have a
much.
secret desire to sign up. I'm just admitting it. I can't because I'm an associate provost and my job is too big. But every time I hear a little bit about the program, I really want to do it. So
Just come in
saying.
and sit in sometime if you ever want to come to class.
I know I should. It sounds like so much fun. So it's great to listen in.
Well, thank you all for joining, and thanks also to Edna and Prachi for contributing. And yeah, reach out if you have any questions.